say they them patience. My Lord, whatever you did a while ago, please change. Yes, give thanks. That is perfect. Give thanks, my Lord. Yes, Yes, my people. So make we do this. I wanted to play this song. I get a request from last week to play it again, and we play it last strong, and we are gonna drop it again before we reason with the honorable priest Isaac.
Yo.
And make we just play this song from Van Benjamin, Midnight, from the Midnight Days. See, this one is titled Wearing Her Crown.
Rastaman sing for her a line. Sing to her a line. How not to notice? Look at her tape.
Empress Charmaine, Annas and Manners, this one going out to the eyes in.
They're depending on her needs. Orchestrator, this time is one of many times. So she was called upon to serve her people. Her people. It looks like they're joyfully, ambiently socializing in line. That little black woman holding this whole thing down. Disgruntled, she cheerfully scold them to cheer from frown. She rather you say yes, mama, in front of everyone all around. So mama keep on wearing her crown. Keep on wearing her crown. Mama keep on wearing her crown. Keep on wearing her crown. She run her kitchen with no how. Yeah. Say no one still call and say bring the youth them come round. Yeah. Mama keep on wearing her crown. Rastaman sing for her a line. Say for her a line. Sing for her a line. She didn't know, she knew how, enough to make them seek her know-how. With competence and careful preparation with love, she experienced guile, so she know the serpent and dove is all love. Strength and helping hands, but just to keep her among. A blessing her birth and a benefit to all her ones. All her ones. Her crown.
Wearing her crown.
In her crown. Keep on wearing her crown.
Give the black sisters them crown, you know.
God bless them, the fruit of her lines, her daughters and sons.
Yeah.
And God bless the parentage and guiding principles that gave us such a one. love to work from the rising of sun. Yeah, she make the feel ashamed the younger ones. That's why her people love her with flood gates of food and happiness, celebration of one.
Rastafari. Empress Menenai Selassie Ijah. Rastafari. Warm welcome. Mindset program, IjahStars, your host. Yeah, man. Give thanks for them road sound from Honorable Van Benjamin wearing her crown, along with the Midnight Band. Zane, maximum respect, every time. Yes, brothers and sisters, give thanks again for the item taking the time. We're there upon the YouTube channel, and we have a special guest with us today. Special guest is Honorable Priest from the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Honorable Priest from out of Antigua. Yes, from out of Antigua. Virgin by the name of Priest Isaac. Warm welcome, Honorable Priest. Blessed love.
Blessed love, my Lord. Blessed love to you and your audience. Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie I, in all good doings and saying. Yes, it is an honor to be in your presence and give thanks for, the works you've been doing internationally throughout, well, internationally and throughout the cosmos, and obviously the effort that you put in to make sure such information reach to the people. So we're thankful, and yes, we are honored to be on your platform, and we do pray that we can, bring justice to what you have to offer your congregation, my Lord.
My Lord. Yes, Honorable Priest, it's a great honor for have the eye upon the program. We follow the eye for many years in what you're doing, and we're the light, and in the eye works, because we see the eye works as something that is empowering, empowering the African community and the world at large. So is a great honor for you have the eye upon the program, Honorable Priest, and some of the topics that we hear the eye touch on your program and your platform, is food, and we give thanks the food of 7, Yes, Bobo, we give thanks to the food of 7. So great honor for you have the eye here, Honorable Priest Isaac. Blessed love and warm welcome again,
To my Lord. Just quick, let me ask before you ask the question. So you're on the YouTube live as yet?
Yeah, we're streaming live through the YouTube right now. Everyone is
from your specific
platform.
IjahStars Mindset station.
Yes, I. And we're also streaming live through Reech Live Radio. So one's here that is tuning in via the radio in London and worldwide. He's here in the eye loud and clear.
And your channel too, but I'm not getting it at all. Maybe okay, I see it now. Everything blessed.
Rastafari.
Gotcha. Yes, I'm with the eye.
Say that again, my lord.
I'm with you perfectly.
All right, give thanks, my lord. Where we start? How did the eye start this journey, my lord? We know the eye is from Antigua, in the Caribbean. Yeah. How did Rastafari, the journey itself, started for the eye?
Oh, well, give thanks even for such. Well, actually, within such framework, I don't know your time frame when you came into this zone as far as when you're born. I would vibe, I don't know, maybe we might be the same age, and maybe a couple in front of you, I don't know. But really, in my time frame as Rastafari, I accepted, the divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I, specifically on the 3rd of December, 1996. And I specifically highlight that because the whole concept to me of a Rastafari, more than anything, is an individual that has accepted the divinity of the divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I. So even as a child, you know, as a lad from such time, I've always wanted to know who God is, even though I may have been a part of the Christian church, not by my own choice. I mean, that's just how it went. But, and at the time, there wasn't anyone really preaching that this is not the right thing to be in, but I don't know, something was inside saying that you want the truth. So there must have been something missing. So even as a child, and you'd hear many people tell this sort of story, because we naturally, quote unquote, God-fearing people. So even as a child, it was just basically, you know, reaching out and asking the unseen, you know, to become seen, and that's the main thing that I want. So eventually in searching and outlooks and all of these different things, you don't know what the eventuality was. It's Haile Selassie I, man, had a clear understanding that, you know, Haile Selassie I is the fulfillment specifically of certain scriptures in the Bible and other prophecies, being ancient prophecies that are not even in the Bible, outside the Bible, and when you go into different philosophies around the world, you still come across the same end result, and it really comes down to Haile Selassie I, any which way you put it. And of course, the order within Rastafari of the Bobo Shanti, again, something that just appeared to be natural within man. That specifically, I can't even put a date on that one there. It's as if it's just, you know, naturally the only date I put to that. And interesting, that day is today, the 24th day of February. Interesting, because on the 24th day of February, yeah, as a mystic one, a real mystic vibration. On the 24th day of February, there was this is 1998. There was an experience myself, brethren by the name of Prophet Shakwan, who is one of the key individuals, I would say, who kind of showed me, you know, this whole concept of the Bobo Shanti. So that's 1998. That's like a year and a couple months after I just gave you a date when I accepted Haile Selassie. Of course, man, didn't know of the of King Emmanuel and so at that time, but a certain level of understanding wasn't that clear. But there was always that love. Man never denied the emperor. Man never fought against it. Man never fight it. It's just that we didn't know. You know, so on that day, the 24th of February, in the evening, we were on a hill in an area overlooking an area called New Wintrops in Antigua. And there was this cosmic experience. Myself, Prophet Shakwan, and Zugu. I think the whole world knows Zugu. You know Zugu. Zugu right there in London right now. Zugu from our Zugu sound name now. Oh my, Zugu from Godly Vibes Radio, Zugula Sound Movement, and the other next sound is a part of. I can't remember that sound name, but yeah, all right. But it's all right, just saying that just so I could pull up my witnesses. You know, when you have witnesses, good, eh? And true. We all saw, and that's a person that the world know of. We all saw this light, me, him, and Prophet Shakwan, this light appeared in the heavens. This everything what I'm going to tell you took about 30 minutes, right? And the light came into what looked like a colorful cloud. And then it started to look like when the smoke coming out of the chalice breed hole came down slowly, formed into something like a butterfly. And then it appeared like a man in a long robe and a turban and a staff, like a cloud, eh? And then it started to move northwards. Now, as I said, it's not me alone. See this? I wasn't dreaming. It was me and two other individuals, one of which I'm sure a good amount of your audience would at least know. So we do his program on YouTube every Sunday, playing his reggae music. So I'm just saying that since you asked, and Mystic, how today is the same day. that happened. It was the 24th day of February. And what we did, you know, there's a scripture in, I even miss it now. I think it's either Zechariah or Zephaniah. And it speaks of the 24th day, I think, of the second month, something of the sort. But I really, that's a while back, and I haven't revisited that for a while. But we went into the Bible and we found the same event. It talked about the light in the heaven and the man that shall go northwards, measure with a measuring reed. And the date that it happened, according to the scripture, was aligning. It was the 24th day of the second month, something of the sort. So, you know, we found that as a big thing. Like, wow, you know, so just bringing that, especially since I noticed the day is the same, because that's how the Most High speak, you know. I'm sure everyone that is listening would have had an experience. It's not something unique to me. Would have had an experience or many experiences if you really take the time and look into yourself, where the Almighty is speaking to you, you know, concerning many different things, you know what I mean? And he would use dates, he and she really, date, time, you know, you see one thing here and then you look around and you see it again. Somebody says something and then a truck passed with the same thing on the side. And the thing is that it happens to every single person, but a lot of us not in tune enough to pick it up when it happens. Sometimes you have to pick it up for people and say, hey, look what you said this past there. Oh yeah, it's true. Right, because that was for them. It wasn't even really for you, but you see it for them. And that's how the Most High speaks to I and I, in some simple ways. Mm-hmm. So basically that's how, as you asked, how it really began as such within the faith of Rastafari. I'm also celebrating 24 years, interestingly, in what I consider the ministry, and that officially began on the 15th of February. How we get them years, I have to do some calculation when I speak, and that's 1997, because when I began the Mystic Vibration, that's a radio program that I did on a station by the name of ZDK. And honestly, that's the first time I ever began to speak. It was really a music program, but I did a lot of speaking in between the music. So I would play the music and explain what the music is saying, primarily reggae music. You know, a lot of Burning Spear, Black Uhuru, and I would be explaining this and what it means. And I just got into what you see me into at this very, very, very moment. So it has been a journey from that time to this time, and here we are with you, you know what I mean, in the IjahStars, the Mindset, Black, the Tiger's Nest collaboration at this moment. Rastafari.
Give thanks, my lad.
Yes,
I don't know, we kind of see the eye screen at the moment.
Well, I think you're running good enough, because I'm watching you on YouTube too.
Yeah, yeah, but through you watch us, we seeing your screen.
Oh, at
the moment, yeah.
Okay, all right. I feel no way. I have it covered. Don't worry.
Majesty.
All right, so you go.
Yes, Bobo. Right, so
I get you now.
Yes, King. Give thanks. Thanks. Oh, the trod now into the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. How that begin?
Well, as I said, still, you know, conceptually, I can't even give a date to it. To me, it's just an inbound thing, something that has always been there. You know what I mean? You know, like just the other day, I had a little heavy reasoning with a good brother of mine, a Bingy brother, a brethren that me and him were coming from them days, back in the days. Because I mean, once you're in this thing for more than 20 years, I have a story behind of it, you know, a good story where you get kicked out of your home, or you have to live in the hills, whatever it is that follows. Them things don't really happen nowadays. But so we had a good discussion as it relates to, you know, Bingy and the Popo and what right and what wrong and all of that. And I really, you know, a lot of that I don't really get into to that degree as such, but it was a wholesome discussion, really. Honestly, it was a very, very wholesome discussion. But it's my brethren. So he made a point, he was telling me now that I was with them. That's what he's saying. No, I mean, I'm with them, you know, it's my brethren, you know, but he talking conceptually now. He's a hardcore bingy man.
Rastafari.
So he's telling me now, I was with them before I went Jamaica in 2001. I say, yeah. You know, he trying to say that I was bingy then before I some turned the bubble or something. No, the thing is, my lord, where I am from here, you know what I mean? Honestly, when I held on to Bubble Shanty, there wasn't really no Bubble Shanty really around. I mentioned Honorable Prophet Shakwan, who is from Antigua. That's a brethren that live in New York, that would come to from time to time and spend a couple of months and go again. You know what I mean? And that is how I know that brethren there. I see the brethren and say, who that brethren there? With that turban, and ask him what this is all about. And them time he was just passing through. So in a sense now, there was no bubble here as bubble, you know. But Antigua is a bingy ground. You know them kind of spirit.
Yes, I.
So, you know, in a sense, you know, is bingy a kind of grow up around on that level there. But as I just gave you that early rundown there, from early out, I done side King Emmanuel. And I was always a little threat to, even as a youth coming in, because again, I done on the radio early, so I'm already known, and I already had a clear concept of the Trinity, prophet, priest, and king. You don't know you go with a lot of elders. That is a kind of threat. Man, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I get a lot of static back in them days, eh? A lot of static, a lot of loggerhead. You know what I mean? No vibes, because a lot of those ones I come and embrace them, because you learn as you grow, you know, man. This is an experience kind of thing, you know, just born and walk, and you learn and you grow into it. So really, getting back to the point with the brethren now, is that I told him, and like he took it like an insult, I tell him, but Ras, you never see my locks. And like he stopped and he think for a while. I said, you never see my locks. And I didn't say that to him in like, if you know what I mean, I wasn't born with nothing on my head, eh? I wasn't born with clothes in them. I don't know, people may have this thing as hiding their locks. I don't know what's wrong with that. I have other, as I show him, I have other parts of my body he never see to them. The point I was making to him is that when he know me, I already had a concept of the priestly, livity of Rastafari, which is the Bobo Shanti order. Even though it wasn't this turban, I would have taken, when I first locked up my lord, I would have taken the them things that you put around, not our regalia, but those matted red, gold and green scarf. I would have used one on that and wrap my head as a turban. You know, nobody teach me that. I do that for myself. You know, and then I buy a cloth and I do my own little thing. And yes, I made a tradition to Jamaica in 2021. But even before I went there, not 2021, 2000. And but even before I made that tradition, just send an honorable priest from the foundation right here to I, just like a mystic out of the blue. You know what I mean? A man that passing through and get caught up and have to spend a night and end up spending more than a night with I. And that's the Honorable Priest Jermaine, also known as Rascasa. From Jamaica, I speak of this. More than one Priest Jermaine, you know?
Yes, sir.
And that is the man that showed me the creed and teach me certain little, you could say, bring me over the bridge as such. Clearly understanding really what the thing is, you know what I mean? Although I mentioned others before, it wasn't really what he brought to me. When I see it, I say, wow, this thing different, man. You know what I mean? The whole how we carry ourselves, robe and turban, and exactly how you keep the Sabbath and everything. So that was the drive that really set me on my mission now to go to, you know what I mean, Bobo Hill 2001. And yeah, the journey continues. I didn't get my priesthood then, you know. The priesthood was 2006. But, you know, I got crowned the very same time I went on the hill. I spent a month and a strong, something of that sort, something around that. Went back 2003, similar time in I spent, and I've been there, I think about 4 or 5 times after that, but for some very short time. One time a week, one time a day, you know, just passing through on these different things. But just giving you an idea of, you know, chronicling the movements for the eye. My Lord.
Rastafari, my Lord. Give thanks, honorable priest. When you reached to the camp, saying was it what I expected? Was the setting to your expectation?
I would say so, you know. Maybe you don't know what to expect to some degree. So you're still going knowing that you don't know what to expect. And but you expect something. So I would say it was to my expectation. Yeah, I would say that, yet still not knowing exactly what to fully expect. So there must be an element of surprise. But yeah, man, it was it, you know. I could recall how the one day ago now. It's so many different vibrations when you look into it, you know, when you consider. Because since I've given you like a rundown then, because, you know what I mean, the soldiers we are. And even when I went to the hill, I didn't tell nobody I was going, I just went. And I remember I met a prophet that was in Kingston. I went up the hill with. I don't remember the prophet name. I can see him. He's a dark prophet, have a low turban. Dark prophet. He seemed to come and go every now and again. And even the Honorable Priest Jermaine didn't even know I was coming. He was shocked when he come and see me. I remember when he came up, he had on a black turban and a white robe. That's Priest Jermaine coming off of the road. And somebody tell him, Jermaine, your brethren from Antigua can see him, man. Eh? I could see him coming. He said, my Lord. You know what I mean? So he didn't even expect that. You know what I mean? That's how man moves. You know, he's a mission man, just get up and go. So real first time going to Jamaica and everything. So yes, as you asked, it's really what I would say man expected, really, because it's salvation. You know, we were looking for the order itself. We didn't fully understand it, you know, we didn't really know fully what to expect, but I think it was more than man expected too, because the order itself now, the churchical order and the discipline that would come with it, you know, a lot of ones want to know the truth and want to have the right God and all of that, which is wonderful, but afraid of the work. There's a work within it, you know, a work within your own self. And the order itself, when you live the order, like now it's Lenten time, in the heavy Lent right now, gone into the 8th day of this fasting and praying period. You know, when you're part of this thing, you are in some degree, even if it's a big bite, you take a small bite, in some degree, you're compelled to keep up the standards. So you follow the Lenten order, you follow the Sabbath order, the do's and don'ts of this Congress here, things you do, things you don't do, things you eat, things you don't eat. And everybody like do their own thing nowadays. I know how you go. Yeah, everybody is their own God there, and God dwell in me and God dwell in that. But yet still there's a certain standard, you know what I mean? And it's still understanding, you know, this is such a great order. This order is a discipline order, yet still so free. There's a freedom within the order, you know, man.
My Lord.
There's a freedom within the order, and we tend to have to, you know, what I like to encourage ones to do, not to make it get off track, but try to meditate on what the Black Christ would do. Try to meditate on what the Black Christ would say. You know what I mean? Even, you know, some of the elders, because I'll be doing a series of interviews to that, you know, and I give thanks, even the interview I did with Priest Lindell as well. You know, these ones need to get a little more ear time from all of us.
True.
And really make the world understand who the Black Christ was. Anyone that sit with him, because King Emmanuel, although he's the strictest, he give this impression like he's the most freest of them all. You know what I mean? So you may feel that, well, he's gonna tie you down and the man loosen you up. You understand? There are so many different stories I hear of ones go to the father and say, well, you know, I mean, Jah would like to go and do this and that, you know, feeling maybe Jah will tell you, well, my Lord, you know, we not deal with that. Or just say, yes, my Lord, you're free. When you don't, just come again, you know what I mean, and everything, you know, simple things.
True.
So, and again, you know, man, not saying it to imply, man, drop off the track and go do what you want to do, you know. But it's just to show how balanced this is, like the Ma'at, you see, on the foreground there, how balanced it is. It's the most serious thing, you know, serious, but yet still there's a certain level of freedom to it. So yes, that's the art the man was looking for. It's the art of life to me. You know, the King Emmanuel art is the natural art of life, you know, as what a human being is supposed to be and how a human being is supposed to live. I know that you have different cultures in the world, you have different, and I wouldn't even say theology for the moment. You do have that, but let's put theology aside just for the moment. But you have different practices, precepts, and cultures, and most of them have some sort of connection with the cosmic. You can't tell somebody that's sitting down in a temple and humming all day long that he don't know what he's doing, and he fasting too. He may not eat what you eat, but he eats something else, and sometimes his mindset may even be clearer than some of us. You understand? Because there are different pathways. People may not like to hear it, but there are different pathways to a balance, to an inner calm. You know what I mean? I honestly believe the Most High, or God, if people want to use that Germanic term, you know what I mean, listens to different forms of communication going towards that one source. That's just the truth. But that's the share how free the God is. But that don't change the fact now that what we have, we as Rastafari, what we have is the coming together of all the ancient sages and all the ancient prophecies, you know, all the ancient practices from Buddha to the Hindu and the Vishnu and the Brahma and the Christ. King Emmanuel is not just the black Christ, you know, man. King Emmanuel is the black Buddha. King Emmanuel is the real Allah. We just keep up Christ because remember his Bible we use it. Bible is what we use. So we use the prophecy of the Bible, but the prophecies on the Medunetta too, and the prophecies in the pyramid too, and the prophecies in the stars as well, and the prophecies in the Quran as well, and the prophecies in the Rig Veda as well, and where is it? Anyway, you look in the Mayan tablets, the Sumerian tablets, all of these things, even if we didn't have the Bible, we could have still say, hey, look, Haile Selassie here. Hey, but look here over here too. It's a real thing, eh? So Haile Selassie is the fulfillment of all these things in flesh. You understand? And when you have the truth, you don't have to shove it down nobody's throat, you know what I mean? That's why the emperor is the most humblest of all. And people quick to tell you, oh, he never praised himself and all of these different things.
Rastafari. As the I go there, so my lord, I have a whole heap of questions still, you know, but through the I taught certain things a while ago. So how does the Asian Kemetic or Kemetic spirituality align now with Bobo Shanti?
My Lord. Well, again, you see, this is why, for example, I mean, the conventional individual that will deal with Rastafari and Bobo Shanti, I would say Bobo Shanti, but still, and I'm leaving out Rastafari in general, you know, King. I hope you don't feel that way.
No, my lord.
Is that, true, you know, because it's a oneness still, you know. I know one like run from that, but it's a full oneness, and even when you're separated to deal with Bobo, you're still, to me, still Rasta you're talking in general. I really feel it. You know, even when you say, okay, well, let's talk Bobo alone for now, it's still like, I still see Rasta there waiting. You know what I mean? Because it's Rasta. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's just ones that just don't choose to accept King Emmanuel. But
true.
Within the Bobo Shanti and even Rastafari in general, Rastafari for sure is something that has a strong link within the biblical scriptures. I know everybody's not in the Bible and such, but I don't think any man can deny Where do you feel the Bible, King James, written by this, contradicted, anything, no matter what you think of the Bible, you can't deny it. It's a fairy tale book, it's mythology, whatever your point is. When Revelation 5, verse 5 talk about the Lion of Judah, it's highly Selassie talking about. When Revelation 17 or 19 talking about a King of Kings, on his tie shall be written King of Kings and Lord of Lords, is highly Selassie talking about. When the acts say that he shall sit upon the throne of David in flesh, is highly Selassie talking about. When Joel talk about the Lord shall bring all nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat, is highly Selassie talking about. So whatever you bring up about King James, whatever you bring about translation, I hear this, I might even agree with you, but that cannot take away. I don't care how much you run around, you can throw the whole book in the rubbish. That can't take away from the fact whether it's a fairy tale or somebody make it up. Them key scriptures I point out, and I can go for so many more, is talking about Emperor Haile Selassie the first, key figure in history. So one can't run from that. The Bible now itself, as we know it specifically from the Old Testament, comes from the Greek translation known as the Septuagint. And the Septuagint was a book that was created in Kemet, in the Alexander Library, specifically the annex version known as the Museum. This is where the Septuagint came from, 285 BCE. Now, we are taught that the Septuagint was a translation of the Hebrew Torah into the Greek Septuagint. That's what we are taught. But the Hebrew Torah that the Greek Septuagint was translated from cannot be found. But the hieroglyphs that are on the walls of Kemet, which were in scrolled forms in the same place where the Septuagint was translated, I hope you follow me good, those are still around. And yet still, when you check the hieroglyphic stories, when you check the scrolls, and you check the Septuagint, I really hope that the audience following me good, I hope I'm not going too fast, all of those stories are similar. So the Kemetic stories, you find a lot of similarity in the Bible, whether one may see it or may not see it, we can explain it and go further into that. So the Bible itself, not to discredit it by saying that, you know, because I know ones will be quick to say, oh, well, if the Bible came from something older, or the Septuagint was translated from this, and why don't we just go and take the oldest and oldest? And people discredit the scriptures because they believe maybe it came from the Egyptian writing. But what I'm saying now, as African people, because sometimes we throw away the baby with the bathwater, it's called reverse psychology. We as African people, if I ask an individual, what is the oldest known religious writing? An individual that does their study, they will tell me the Pyramid Text of Unas. Okay, so the Pyramid Text of Unas is the oldest religious writing. All right. After the Pyramid Text of Unas, you have the Coffin Text. Now, the Coffin Text is a different text than the Pyramid Text, but the story is similar with different names. Now, nobody really argues that the Coffin Text is a plagiarization of the Pyramid Text. The papyri of Ani is after the Coffin Text. And the papyrus of Ani and other people, not Ani alone have a papyrus or papyri, but that papyrus or papyri, the story is also similar to the Coffin Text and to the Pyramid Text. People don't really argue that. You have different creational stories all through Africa, not just in Kemet. Kemet alone have several stories. You have the Shabaka stone. You can go have my youth here, they can give you all the different theology of the Zulu kingdom, the Dogon story, and these other people's story, different stories with different names. But we don't really argue that one plagiarized the other.
Because that's how we are as African people. We understand how to use allegory and esoteric messages. So now the Bible comes along. Remember, Ethiopia have the oldest version there sitting down. The Ethiopian Bible full of black people. The Ethiopian Bible full of pictures and some red, gold, and green background, okay? But the characters might seem to have a slightly different name. But again, the story is similar to that on the Kemetic walls. The story is similar even to some of the West African tradition because it's all one. This is how I personally look at it. Okay? So this is why now we can use the Kemetic stories without fear or favor and show you that Haile Selassie is highlighted in the character known as Osiris or Asa, because he, Asa, just like Haile Selassie, was born in Ethiopia. He, Asa, just like Haile Selassie, became a man at the age of 13. Again, this is allegory. Just like Christ in the Bible, he became a man at the age of 13 too. So scripture says when he was fully 12. Fully 12 means 13, fully 12 is just science. Fully 12 means you're 13 because you completed the full 12 years. For example, when you're born, you're not 1 year old.
Natural.
You take a whole year before you're 1. When you become 1, you've actually gone into your 2nd year. You understand? It's a mystic thing. So when it says Christ was fully 12, he was 13. And other scriptures and other myths would show you the God figure becoming a man at the age of 13. Haile Selassie, as we know, got that title, the Dideshmark, at the age of 13, the keeper of the gate, the keeper of the door, which sent him on to become the governor of Sidimo, the governor of Gori, governor of Hara, until he became Ras in 1916, and of course, eventually became Nikos Nagas in 1930. 72 nations came at that coronation. According to the whole science of even Asa, it was 72 individuals that came to the coronation of Osiris. Osiris is the king of Ethiopia. It's 72 nations that came there. And those same 72 is who took Osiris and put him in the coffin, if you know the Egyptian story, put him in the coffin and cut him up into 16 pieces. That is the same thing Haile Selassie I went through, because we have to keep in mind, those 72 individuals of these different nations that came to the coronation of the king. These nations were primarily the same colonializers that had all the African countries in enslavement and colonialism. So they were the same ones that were in the League of Nations that turned their back on Haile Selassie I and discredited Article 16 according to the League of Nations protocol when Italy invaded Ethiopia. Because if you study the Kemetic Osiris story, it said that Osiris was cut up into 16 pieces by the same 72 individuals. Follow it good. So say all that to say, they took Osiris and they threw him in the river, and he resurrected after 5 years exactly. Same thing with Haile Selassie I. Remember when he went into so-called exile from the 5th of May 1936 to the 5th of May 1941. That is exactly 5 years again. From the 5th of May, and May is the 5th month, the 5th day, Cinco de Mayo. Because Mayo does mean water, sink, like in water, Cinco de Mayo, it does mean water. To the world, and he comes out of the watery world. All of that is science. That's why Christ said he's like the Jonah that went into the belly of the fish that went into the water. Noah also is the same thing, going to the water and coming out in ships out of the deluge. So all of that is ancient Kemetic science. Heru now, you had a program, my brother, you're highlighting the program with Muta Baruka, talking about when the Black Christ is born and all of these different things. Obviously, that's a mystery. You know what I mean? We're not going to be spooky here, but for sure, what we need to at least understand that King Emmanuel, how he came and how he departed, is both a mystery. We're not in no spooky business and no make-believe, but we must admit that this man coming in and this man going out is unlike regular people, and that is the truth, So the time span that we have of him is 80 years. I've read with my eyes in a pamphlet that he said that I came in 1914. So 1914, from 1914 to 1994 is 80 years, 80 years. 80 years is the lifespan given to the Kemetic character known as Heru. Who's Heru? Horus. Who is Horus? Horus is said to be the son of Osiris or Asa. Remember, Osiris or Asa is the god figure, you know, similar to as I said, the father. Haile Selassie is represented with Asa or Osiris. And it is Horus now who he made his high priest. This is Kemetic theology, basically, you know, in simple language, who he made his high priest, who stayed 80 years defending his order, basically. And he's the one that rose the kingdom. So the Heru figure or the Horus figure also fits the Black Christ, the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, not just for that alone. You know, the 80 years, Buddha is said to have lived for 80 years. In fact, according to Islamic theology and Islamic scholars told me this for sure. Even where you are, Dave, if I'm not mistaken, in London, I've met with Islamic scholars in London and in Barbados and gathered all of this information here. They talk about the IjahStars, the Isa part, the Isa of the Quran, because Isa is who people call Jesus in the Quran. You know, Isa Ibn Maryam al-Masih, that is Jesus, the son of Mary, the Christ. According to the Quran, Isa is the Messiah. So when a Muslim tell you that Jesus is not the Christ, I mean, according to the Quran, not me, he is the Messiah. True. But this Isa now, he, according to them, he never died. He was taken up. And when Allah comes back to judge the world, Isa shall come back with Allah. And this time, Isa gonna rest down the structure, but he gonna stay for exactly 80 years, fulfilling the lifespan of Prophet Muhammad. So I'm just showing you, you know, kind of wrapping that up, you know, in all these different traditions, not just Kemetic, where you can see the prophecy being fulfilled of the King of Kings, of the Melchizedek. You know, people argue about which one of them is the real Melchizedek. The mysteries of Melchizedek say that two Melchizedek shall rise in this generation. One shall be a king in the east, and one shall be in the west, living in the hills for 7 full years. The same full thing again, 7 full years. And the Melchizedek in the east shall come to the Melchizedek in the west and bring him out and proclaim him his high priest. And when you count that same 7 full years thing, is if you notice, when the Congress started from 1958, it's 7 full years, have to cover that. And then remember, they visited the king in 1965, and the year after that, the king came to Jamaica in 1966. So there's so much science behind that. That's the same prophecy of Nagarjuna and Shantideva. That's Indian Buddhist philosophy. A king shall arise named Nagarjuna, like Negus Negas, and he shall have a priest named Shantideva. Hear them name there? Shantideva and Nagarjuna. That's Negus and Baba Shanti. And what Nagarjuna did, he brought Shantideva out in front of all the monks and proclaimed him his priest. So all of them ancient theology, my Lord, has been overplayed and played over and brought into reality now in flesh and blood. No more paper and painting and rock and sculpture and chapter 1 and chapter 2. Live in Haile Selassie and King Emmanuel, Holy Emmanuel Selassie, Rastafari. Marcus Garvey, Empress Man. My Lord.
Rastafari, my Lord. Yes, Bobo. So the Dogon star. Could they explain that and how it set up with Rastafari also?
Oh, every day. Well, the Dogon for sure. Well, you know, when you talk about Dogon, you're more speaking of Serious A, and Serious A and Serious B. and the Serious Constellation has to do directly, not the Serious star system, I should say. It's basically 2 stars. You know, there's this argument that it's 3 stars now, but from my understanding, it's 2 stars. What am I doing here? I hope I'm not, okay, good. Just checking something here. It's basically 2 stars, Sirius A and Sirius B. Sirius B is a dwarf star that basically modern day science only kind of picked it up like a few, years ago. But the Dogon people have been mapping Sirius B for quite a while. That's really the science. To the point that in their writings, even in their caves, you could see the whole movement of Sirius A and B. They already have it recorded, and science can prove that, well, they were doing this years ago without any, telescope or any sort of device and technology on that level. Now, as far as linking it to, the Order and Rastafari and all of these different things, because it's not just the Dogon too, it's a few. You have the Bozos, you have the Bobo, you have the Ashanti, you have different tribes that similar to the Dogon, specifically the Bozos are very close to the Dogon people, and they all have the concept of this coming savior as such. One of the things you see in creational stories, some of them are very similar. God, so-called God, which is a German word really, creates everything and then maybe mash it up and create it again. Even in the Bible, you get that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even in the Bible, big man like mash up things and say, you start over. A couple of times, if Moses didn't stop him, the thing would have started over already. Even Samuel had to stop him at time. Man would have started that thing from scratch. But yeah, but you see that in the Dogon tradition. What I highlight with the Dogons God is a fish god, the Nomo. And, I did a program about a month ago on why Bobo Shanti eat fish. To be honest, maybe 25% of that program was dedicated to that aspect of the subject. And 75% of the program would have been livicated to the concept, basically, of the science of the fish and the fish and bread and all of that, because it's a science. Natural. The house of fish and the house of bread. We're living in the Pisces age, going into the Aquarius age in the next couple of 100 years. I'm speaking as an astronomer. I'm not speaking as a follower of some mystic astrologer and listening to what people say. We are not in the Aquarius age. I'm not wondering or thinking. I'm telling you, we are feeding off of the Aquarius age energy, that's for sure. We're not feeding off of no other energy but the Pisces and the Aquarius energy, but we are still primarily in the Pisces age. And that is mathematics I'm talking about, not belief, So I'm just showing you now that the Pisces age is the age of the fish, that whole 2,160 year span. And of course, approximately 700 years on each side that would feed the energy of the same Pisces age. So that is why you would find a lot of the science with the fish and bread and feeding the multitude with the fish and bread. And when the Christ was resurrected, he had broiled fish and honey, and most of his soldiers are men of the sea, seamen as such, fishermen, and these different things. And beyond that, you go into the Sumerian tradition. People say Sumer is the oldest tradition, so they say, but you see all the ancient gods of Sumer dressed up like fishmen in some fish suit, moving around, ready for action as fishmen. That's the science. So the same thing with the Dogons. The Dogon symbol of God, the Noma, is a fish again. So it has a lot to do. It doesn't mean God is a fish, obviously. It has a lot to do with the symbol. It has a lot to do with the age.
That's why ones would speak of the time of Moses being the age of Aries, the age of the ram. So the slaughter of the ram and the sacrifice of the ram is mentioned a lot in the scripture of that time. That is a theory, really. Sounds like a good argument to me. But I'm sticking to my guns here with the Pisces age and why the fish has become such a pungent symbol, all pun intended, really. You know, as they say, a fisherman never say free fish, rice, you know. I don't know if you know that phrase there. So, and in no disrespect to no one that may partake of that animal there within the Congress, you know. But I think that is one of the reasons why the fish stuff has stuck strong and bubble shanty. I don't eat fish. I don't eat no kind of animal. Nothing that can look at me. I'm not taking nobody away from his child. Fish does have children. They live in like a hole in the sea too.
True.
You know what I mean? Fish are not the same. And this is the IVG fish. I just tell you, you know. So I don't move like that. One man telling me, well, vegetables are alive too. Okay, run, carrot, run. You ain't going nowhere. Not try that. The fish ain't gonna stand up and say, I'm ready for you. Catch me now. You know, so man, really on that. But I'm just showing you that in the cosmic of things, because that's how the Most High moves. The Most High is a cosmic being, you know what I mean? And things that we may not pick up right away, you know, is being set in stone for us to look back on. So that same Christ from the Pisces age is the Black Christ with us. I talking of King Emmanuel, Charles Edwards. I see that same no more, the Christ figure that shall come in the boat with the rainbow. That's what the Dogan say. No? He comes with the boat with the rainbow. So you don't know the rainbow is red, gold, and green. That's King Emmanuel again. You know, he comes with the rainbow as well. And that's another thing about God. God does always come in ships. God, all them gotta have this ship. His name is Ra have his ship, Asa have his ship, Heru have his ship, the Nomo have his ship. So Marcus Garvey, that is one of the things that stand out. Because all them other people we just hail up in and nobody have no shipping. Marcus Garvey come with 3 of them. True. You know, one for here and the other 2 God. Yeah, real thing. One does miss that part there. Because every God have a ship. Holy Emmanuel, Rastafari. All in the Bible, Jesus have his boat, no man. Marcus
Rastafari. My Lord and Empress, give thanks. Yes, Bobo. We hear a lot of talk, Priest, Zane, about regarding the pyramids and things that who build the pyramids, Zane, and most of the time is like African people is looked down as not, you know, could even build such a thing. You know, they go to as far as to say that is aliens come from outer space and build these things. With the eye research, Zane, what's your take on it? You know, with your research, who build the pyramids?
Well, the Pyramid of Giza specifically, which also known as the Pillar of Enoch, by the way, whereas many religious ones attribute the pyramid being built by the prophet Enoch. That's an interesting analogy. I actually, people may flip here, but I actually don't dismiss it. But then who really is Enoch? But I think that the Great Pyramid of Khufu, as it is known, as far as I know, is the greatest monument that has ever been built to me. And outside of the heavens, it's the greatest book. This is my opinion. Now, you may say, but it's not a book. Okay, you're right, it's not a book. But in the sense of what a book does, it's something that you can read. You definitely have to be literate to read it. And no matter how literate you are, there's still so much about it that you cannot really grasp. Remember now, we're dealing with a monument that's made with over 2.5 million blocks. Each block is like between 10 and 100 tons, and designed in such a way, you know, so it's like the heaviest thing around. In its days, it definitely was the biggest thing around, and taking up some 13.1 acres of land. And yet still, with all of this hunk of stone and this big colossal monument, you still can design something that's perfectly aligned with east, west, north, and south. Perfect. Nothing off, no point, nothing degree off. Maybe the earth shifted in the last couple of thousand years, and now scientists want to say, oh, the Egyptians were almost perfect. Try that. It was perfect. You know, you're building a monument that has a little shaft like a PVC pipe, little hole, that's aligning itself with the same Serious star constellation, star system, that aligns itself with the Orion belt constellation, that's aligning itself with the Pleiades in the constellation of Taurus. You know, this pyramid has within it, coded within it, continually the mathematical pi 3.16. It's 3.16, 3.14, 3.14159. You have epsilon, which is, how epsilon go again?
2.7182818.
Okay, all of that is epsilon 2.17. I'll leave it 2.71 or 2.17.
2.7182881.
All that's epsilon, that's inside of the pyramid. Then you have something else. You have all kind of thing. You have the square root of one. All of this is built within the pyramid, and you can cipher it out by taking, let's say, the king's chamber, dividing the height by the width and multiplying by the length, and you get pi, or you get epsilon, or some great Fibonacci series of numbers. All of that is within the pyramid. So it's a geometry book, it's an algebra book, it's an astronomy book, it's a history book, it's a prophetic book, because within the pyramid is prophecy as well. One of the things that stand out about the pyramid is what they call the king's chamber and the queen's chamber. And if you understand the science of the pyramid, when you use the cubic inch and you measure coming down most people should have an idea of the pyramid by now. You know, coming down the descending passage, you have going up the ascending passage, and where the ascending passage meets the descending passage continues to go underneath the pyramid to a place known as the pit. And the ascending passage carries you to the queen's chamber, and the ascending passage goes all the way to the king's chamber. All of these different chambers and intersections and these different spots have dates in them. Dates. It doesn't mean you go in there and you see written on the pyramid, there's a date. No, there's only one thing written in the pyramid, and it is a date. And it's the 21st day of March. Mystically, hear this good, that is the equinox. Now, what scientists have done, and they're correct, and theologians, they've taken that spot where that date is written in the descending passage, and they would add like a cubit, the cubit inch, depending on what direction, and that would be the year after, the year after, the year after. And what they have found with the pyramid is that the pyramid is very prophetic as it relates to years. So for example, in the pit, because the pit goes all the way down, in the pit is 1914. The pit, the date in the pit of the pyramid, you have to give the pyramid credit for what it is. So that is why we can say, well, this date and that date, because the pyramid has already showed itself, the only one of the world that has stood the test of time. It has showed itself to be a standard monument in the world that you should pay attention to. That's how I see the pyramid, whether you think it's aliens built it or Lalibela came and did another job. But the point is that in the pit, the date is 1914, and that's the pit. 1914 is World War I. You know, but interestingly, in the highest point of the pyramid, in the king's chamber, that's 1914 again. So there's something about 1914 that is deadly, but there's something interesting and glorious about 1914. That's why it's in the king's chamber. Follow me good. So when you come down the descending passage and you meet the intersection to the ascending passage, when you begin to ascend, you come to what is called the queen's chamber. Now, there's no sign in the pyramid that says this is the queen's chamber. It is individuals, archaeologists, that decided to name it that. I'm not upset. They say two chambers. I'd assume one is for the man and one is for the woman. But is that really what the pyramid is trying to say? Follow me good. The queen's chamber date is 33 AD. Interesting date, because 33 AD is said to be the date where Christ completed his ministry. Now, when you leave that room, that is 33 AD, and you climb up the step or the gallery to the king's chamber, the date inside of the king's chamber is 1914 AD. Now, my interpretation of this is that 1914 AD represents the date of the return of the individual, the same Messiah, from 33 AD. Because 33 AD was the chamber below. Remember, this is a whole prophetic book. It's much more than just this, but this is a little piece I pull out. This is one file we pull out. You know what I mean? All what I said about how many stones and all of this and which star is just to give the audience at least an idea of what we're dealing with here. The Great Pyramid that everybody wants to say they built it. The man from the moon and the man from Mars. And no. It's we black people built that. Don't be worried. We didn't get no slaves to pull no rocks neither. You know what I mean? We watch enough television to see people use acoustic sound and raise up bowling balls floating up in the air with sounds. You never see it? Man have bowling balls and just put a little zap, zap some sound, acoustic music, and the bowling ball will rise. You know, according to, what was the science? Aeronomics. A honeybee is supposed to can fly, you know. The wings of a honeybee is not designed to lift that body, but it's the sound that the honeybee makes that make it rise. So it's the same thing. We have the ability to raise blocks and megaliths without touching them. I mean, I just explained that in a bowling ball, you know. You can see that on CNN News, man lifting bowling. How many people believe in CNN? That's why we go for that. People think that's the source, you know. So I'm just showing you now, we who build the pyramid, we have the understanding of the prophecies to come. And I agree that within the pyramid, you have World War I, you have, some say, the Exodus of Moses and other biblical activities with their dates. You also have 33 AD, and I would agree that is very symbolic of what would be the ending of the ministry of Christ. But then when you go to the next room, you have 1914 AD. And I see that 1914 AD as the beginning of the ministry of the return of the Christ. Now, a person in 1914. What happened in 1914? Well, again, that's what man arguing about when King Emmanuel born. He said, I come in 1940. He says that 1940. And it's not just that alone. Because in 1914, that is when the Universal Negro Improvement Association really farming in Jamaica, not in New York. In 1914, the 1st of August. Yes, my lord.
My lord, interesting. Yes, Baba. Well, a lot of ones would probably have issues with some of what they say, and I suspect that probably is because they're not equipped with the knowledge that the high have in terms of the research that the eye do, because in everything what the eye does say, stand out, but what really stand out for I, Zine, is the 1914. That is what really stand out for I, man. All right, because that a show we, as there I said, the beginning of the ministry of the Black Christ, which is very interesting, my lord. Selassie, I know. But my final question today, because I know
True.
they are they're on a mission still.
True, God.
Do they think that we as Bobo Shanti, or as ones who say we are Bobos, do you think that we mispronunciate the name? Because I hear a lot of things, just like I heard the I saying on one of your previous program that Bobo Ashanti and and there's Bobo Shanti and there's Bobo Asante or there's Asante.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I just brought that. We see, like how you said a moment ago, a lot of ones will have issues. Boy, to be honest, hey, look, man, so past them stage, eh? Can anybody have issues who want to have issue, eh? Because if it's one thing, I know they can step up and deny, eh? If we have a real tea time discussion, no argument and brawling, a proper discussion, nobody can go wrong that night, eh? Nobody. Hey, they ain't got a person that's walking, my lord, that can go around, nothing I put on the table, because I wouldn't put it on the table unless I positive. I just running off them facts for this, for the little time. But if man to sit down and open the college door and say we're here for 5 hours, who? No questions to ask after. I'm serious. Because it's the real thing is defend. I come defend King Emmanuel. I don't even care who said they walk with him. I come defend King Emmanuel to the fullest, and King Emmanuel in the stars, King Emmanuel in the temple of Ramesses, King Emmanuel in the inner earth. If you could break a sun open and dissect the molecule, you'll find him there with precise chemistry, not with no guess. And it's their mission we answer. When people, I don't believe that, you think I gonna stand up and listen to that? You know, believe I talking with cold cut facts we dealing with. Clear. But as you are, well, ask me again, I don't know. Oh man, you know that.
RASTAFARI, the pronunciation, do you think that?
Oh yes, well, yeah. Yes, right. Really? No, well, yeah, even in that that program there that we did, again, it's not really trying to throw nothing down nobody's throat, to some degree, it's not even saying Bobo Shanti, someone that say Abba Ashanti I. It's not an argument really with I. Honestly, it's not an argument. It's just, okay, since it comes up, because someone's strong with it, I know a few people are they serious with that. A few ones will say, no, my lord, you have to stop telling people Bobo Shanti. I can't just do that. I never hear King Emmanuel say that. No. But you see, we leaning on our own understanding. People say that about me too. We leaning on our own understanding. Now, King Emmanuel do say Bobo Shanti. What I learned of the Black Christ too, he's a man that advanced to, you know what I mean? And everything they really stay the same all the time. Things that advance. Even flag and so does move. People just argue about, no, this flag's supposed to here because when I was there, it was there. A man will tell you, well, yeah, but you go away for 10 years. And when you went with the man, move the flag over here. You know them talking there. So that's the kind of culture Bobo Shanti is, eh? Believe me, take it from me as a researcher. That's the Bobo Shanti culture. That's why I have to take time and sift things out properly. Now, that is the word I know the Black Christ give to us, Bobo Shanti. What I highlighted that Ashanti is a tribe by itself. You have Bobo, the Bobo is a tribe by itself too. They may be similar, I'm sure they have similar connections as well. King Emmanuel, within his wisdom, he knows our roots. We here in the Western world, and Western specifically primarily outside of Africa, more so outside of Africa, we have almost become a new people, almost, meaning that, when I look at myself, my father, my mother, both Black people, I can't trace nobody outside of Black people as far as my family lineage go. I don't know if something happened somewhere down the line that I don't know, but as far as I can trace. But, from my little understanding, I would believe where my father came from, whatever tribe he would have been, my mother would have been a different tribe. And I know why I go into all of that. I won't break it down now. It has a lot to do with the island and certain little customs. Well, you know, them kind of thing, even in Jamaican, so you can pick up them little things. So my mother and my father, two different tribes. My father's father and my father's mother, two different tribes again. Same thing with my mother and her father, two different tribes. Their parents, different tribes, and their parents, different tribes. Obviously, even in Africa, you know, even though a tribe would mix, if you're gonna marry, my daughter is coming in to marry your son, it's a big thing, eh? Big celebration. I come and bring her over to you. Enough things, you bring how much cattle, I bring how much goat. It's a big thing. It's not just a mix up. Now, we didn't hate one another, but we were very, we would guard the purity of our tribes. That's how the tribes stayed as tribes or peoples. I like peoples more than tribes, by the way. That's how these peoples, ethnic peoples, stayed as these specific, distinct groups for thousands of years. Not because they were warring, but they understood that level of purity. That's why even in the Bible, not because you're Israel mean you mix with Israel, you know. Judah mixed with Judah. We call them Naphtali mixed with Naphtali. That's biblical, and that's how we were practicing it. Now, I'm just showing you that that practice has gone totally out of the door in the last 400 years. That's for sure. Hey, if you can find any person right now that is perfectly whatever they was when they left the homeland, trust me, you're good. As I said, mommy and daddy is two different tribes. Their mommy and daddy is two different tribes because it's multiplying from 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32. You may be a mixture of at least 32 collaborations. So we here in the West, in a sense, I'm not separating you if you do your tests, your ancestry, African ancestry, and you may find, that's why a lot of people that do these tests, you have so many things in you. 2% German, a man tell you, boy, me 2% German, me even that. 2% German, 50% Igbo, 30% Fon, and then you're 20% Fulani, and then you're 10% something else. That's how these things come back nowadays. So maybe depending on what you may be, you know, I mean, the most percentage you have, it may not even be 50. Maybe you can hold on to that. But the reality is, if those ancestry things are precise too, because I'm sure they have their play of accuracy. But the point I'm making is that we are almost a new people, my brother. After so long, we are not separating ourselves from Africa. Now, this ain't no ADOS business and African descendants of slavery business. Now, we are African people. Naturally. African people, Africa for the Africans. But I honestly believe that what the Black Christ was carving out with understanding is that this is a new, in a sense, tribe rising here. We are one. It's like a collaboration of Africa rising here and new people, Bobo Shanti. So that is why I respect that name. That's why I don't add Ashanti to it personally. I don't feel offended if a man say it, but I would move with that name. I think it's a unique name that King Emmanuel has given to these people rising up right now that the emperor talk about Africa awaiting his creators and creators. I, Selassie, Jah,
Rastafari. Bless and sanctify, my Lord and Empress. Yes, honorable priest, give thanks. Just want to drop one question from the chat room. A whole heap of thing there, but just
true,
one.
Man. I didn't get.
Yeah, someone was saying that the whole world is Africa. I don't know how they I see that. The whole world is Africa.
Well, I mean, that's layered, different layers to that.
Rastafari.
To say, well, I mean, from our understanding, geologically, the world had a one landmass at one specific time. Some even go as far as to say Africa, the continent of Africa is the stable continent, while the others kind of were the ones that shifted off. Mm-hmm. I think we comprehend that all peoples, just like the landmass came out of African people too, So because some people go as far as to say everybody is an African just because, you know, the African is their mother and their father. Again, them is layered comments as well. And I do believe, I'm one of them that believe that the world, we occupied the world. You know what I mean? Even before slavery. I honestly believe so. We were, I mean, there's not just belief, we have evidence of this. The Olmec people in the West, and even all of those statues of the Buddhas and Angkor Thom and these different places, you could see that these are African people. So as African people, we're the one that carried Kung Fu and these things to China and karate to Jamaica and not Jamaica, and karate to Japan and the karate to Jamaica. Yeah, but we are international people. You know. I would say, you know, I don't get me wrong, Africa for the Africans, eh? And as Boba Shanti will speak of, every man on his own vine and fig tree, because that's how we are. The world, I see the world belong to us. We're the one that has given other nations that have come along. We're not a hating people. Black supremacy is not the flip side of white supremacy. You know?
Never.
Some of us, we're so scared now. We don't want to say black supremacy anymore because we feel somebody could get offended because they don't like white supremacy. Black supremacy is God business. White supremacy is devil business. Because if we were supreme, just as King Emmanuel said, give the white man Europe, give the Chinese man China, give the Indian man India, and the Arawaks and all of that, and we take Africa. It's like you have a house, the king. It's your house, you know. But they have some people outside that, hey, we need some place to live. Okay, tell her what, you take this room, you take that room, you take that. Is we give. That's exactly how it is. And speaking anthropologically, these are the places where these other quote unquote races, not my favorite term, sprung up in their evolution. You know what I mean? And this is science we're talking. We can give you the dates and to this. I not know. No loose talk. These so-called spot cycles, etc. And in his wisdom, God said, okay, you stay there. It's all right. No, we're not gonna kill you. Just stay there. Behave yourself though. That's all it is. Africa for the Africans.
Oh, man abroad, born and unborn.
Man abroad.
Marcus I, Selassie.
Selassie,
Jah Rastafari. Yes, honorable priest. Great honor, my lord. You know, great honor for you have they are here on the program. Lovely vibration. You know, I can see that the ones them in the chat room really fuljoy in the energy still.
That's all the ones in the chat.
Yes, Bobo. Give thanks, my lord. The closing words, my lord, to the world at large.
Well, give thanks again for you and your wonderful audience. Bless everyone in the UK too. You know what I mean? And this is a different time that we live in it. This is not no regular, this is a kind of mystic time, and especially to conscious ones. I ain't gonna tell you, I know we like to say something together and all of that. Then this is not even the time for no playground talk, yo. Man just gotta be serious in this time.
My lord.
It's sad that sometimes you have to fight a little battle by yourself. Kind of how. That's how you get to. Sometimes you get deadly, you know. And as they trying to mask you up and stick you up and so many different things, you got to be very vigilant, even at this hour. Them is the time when Noah closing up his door in his ark. Long time Noah talking, Noah talk for a long time. And now the rain start to come, people still begging Noah to come talk. Noah, talk now. Noah have to go check for his family. Check it now. That's what it is, my lord. That's what it is. I could tell you personally. People see and say, oh, how I don't hear you say nothing about the COVID. Which I have, but maybe they don't hear it the way they want to hear it. How long I tell you we doing this, King? Almost 25 years. Next year we're celebrating 25 years.
My lord.
As I said, it's long time Noah talking. long time. You expect now the rain start to come that Noah's supposed to pull up his umbrella and still trying to convince you to come in the boat, and Noah have his family to take care of. So, my Lord, even if you're a Noah, take the message good. Holy man,
Selassie
Jah,
Rastafari.
Rastafari. Yes, my Lord. Do give thanks, honorable priest, and
You, my Lord.
all
Well,
powers.
I will cut from this time. I should be doing an interview with the Honorable Kes Westmore in a little while too, you know. That's really the plan too. So, you know, the item will see that man, the YouTube channel.
Rastafari, give thanks, my Lord, for
Blessed Lord.
the land going through said way. All powers and blessing, honorable priest. More love and strength.
More love,
Rastafari.
God.
Yes, I. More love, priest. Yes, my people, give thanks, for the item patient listening and rapid attention. Yes, I give thanks for the honorable priest Isaac, you know. Yeah, blessing I and I with such inspiring words. See? Yeah, man, give thanks for, you know, the man of our, you know, pass through. Said we, as the man say, now on a time for, you know, whole talking, now on a talk right, and now have his family to attend to, and that is a reality because it's serious time now. So we give thanks to them words sound there. You know, we just have to look in ourselves and, you know, fathom what the priest has said still. So we give thanks for everyone who take the time out today. We give thanks to our sponsors, Blackstar International Media, and also Yard Slang Closing. Yeah, man, we want to say manners and respect and peace and love. We want to say more love and strength to the item who take the time out every time for tuning on the channel here. You know, we appreciate of the item and, you know, the item interaction. Yes, I. We're there again next we're there this Sunday forward. Seeing, and we have we have an honorable guest. The item can just check the Instagram or check the website and, you know, be updated with what going on. But for now, I want to say peace and love. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.